Let's talk changelings. The shape-shifting, emotional vampires of Equestria that nearly took over all of Celestia's kingdom. The true, superior race that will soon overthrow and enslave all of Celestia's little I can explain. Okay, I'm gone. I'm out. I'm gone. You'll never see me again. I'm gone. Sorry about that, everyone. Since changelings only appeared in one episode, bear in mind that a lot of this is speculation, extrapolating from my analysis of the changelings, so if you have different theories on where they come from and why they do what they do, feel free to lay them on me. Changelings present a strange case for life in Equestria, an entire race of beings that possess similar traits to Alicorns, but corrupted somehow, twisted. They can perform magic, fly, and shapeshift, able to hold these forms for extensive periods of time if necessary. And the strangest thing? If Chrysalis is to be believed, her people feed entirely off of emotions, more specifically, love. This makes them parasites, moving from place to place, feeding on the emotional energy of its inhabitants, then moving on when either discovered or they've sucked the place dry. However, when the changelings finally attacked Canterlot, they didn't come bringing novelty chocolates and Hallmark cards. They brought terror and destruction to everything in their wake. While love and other positive emotions may be their main source of nourishment, this behavior suggests that they also feed on other emotions such as fear or anger. Which would make sense, as it's hard to display love when a giant bug monster is attacking your place. This means one of two things. 1. Changelings evolved alongside pony kind, possibly deriving from a common ancestor or a similar species that lived alongside ancient ponyanity. At some point in their evolution, be it through the discovery of magic or by natural means, the early changelings learned how to derive nourishment from emotions of other species, and the ability to change forms likely followed so they could blend in with their prey. Early changelings could infiltrate early civilization with no problem, most likely, feeding when they needed, like vampires in their own earthly novels, and going mostly unnoticed, at least until their numbers grew large enough to be noticeable. Theory number 2. I highly doubt that Equestria is the only place ponies live. In fact, during the Heartswarming Eve episode, it shows that Equestria was founded by pilgrims from another country that was slowly starving to death under a harsh blizzard brought on by negative emotions between the three races. Now, if the changelings don't hail from some third country, ponder this. With every migration of people, there are always some left behind, those that refuse or are simply unable to travel. After the Pegasi, Earth Ponies, Unicorns, and possibly Alicorns that founded Equestria left this country, those that remained would be doomed to slowly starve to death as their food ran out. Unless a certain magic user were to try a last-ditch spell to save her people. A queen that would do anything to save those she served. A queen named Chrysalis. We've seen that magic can be used to change the eating habits of creatures, and we've also seen that doing so can cause horrible side effects and mutations. It isn't beyond belief that a sufficiently powerful magic user, say an Alicorn princess or queen, could use a similar enough spell to change her entire people to save them. This is my favorite theory on the origins of the changelings, as it makes Chrysalis a better villain, a tragic heroine trying to save her people, and it also explains just what happened to those left behind when Equestria was founded. As we've seen, once you pass the borders of Equestria, there's absolutely nothing for miles, just dead land and tatzelworms. The appearance of the changelings is just weird. In form, they look just like regular ponies, but they have compound eyes, gnarled horns, insectoid wings, and strange holes in their hooves. There is nothing revealed so far that matches them in details. Even though I postulated that griffins may be an artificial race, they at least look like something that could be. And I still believe that they are descended from one or both of their component animals. Bear in mind that while this may have just been an art decision, when I analyze MLP Universe and its episodes, I'm using the perspective of a writer, not an artist, so the visual design plays into what I theorize their origins to be. I may be flawed in this, but what are you gonna do? This dark, warped, corrupted look makes me lean heavily towards the belief that the changelings are truly artificial in nature, the first fully artificial race we've seen in MLP so far. It could also make for a brilliant story at a later date, in a comic or a book, or even in the show, telling us the story of the desperation that would lead to a ruler turning her entire people into emotional vampires for lack of any other food source. For once, this possible origin tells us just where changelings may live. Now, provided I'm correct, the changelings retain the monarchistic tradition of their pre-transformation state, meaning that the original country may still exist, serving as a hive of sorts for the changelings to breed and gather in between feedings. If this land exists outside of Equestria, that means we can only really narrow it down to which direction you start walking to eventually reach it. Now, while I've already said my piece on the canonicity of this map, it at least gives us the basis to figure out where they live. Let's assume that the Changelings live on the same continent as the ponies. This means that the east and west are out, as oceans lie on either side. The southern Badlands seem like a decent enough place to start, as we saw them recently in Three's a Crowd. The area is dead, nothing grows beyond the hill where the Tatzelworm lived, and it seems abandoned. The perfect natural barrier for the Changeling Kingdom to hide within. Equestria existed before the rise of Celestia, as she is not mentioned in the Hearthwarming Eve's play, so that means the country's over 3,000 years old at least. The Badlands would be the perfect place to find the ruins of an ancient civilization that watched its food wither and die. But here lies the rub. The food died because of the chill, not heat or disease. While an area as dead as the Badlands would be perfect, the frozen north actually fits slightly better, as it is constantly under the cover of snow, hence the name. The problem with this becomes the Crystal Empire, which lies right on the border of the mountains that form the natural border of the frozen north and Equestria. Depending on where the Empire lays on this border, it could be impassable, even for the Changelings, especially if they were in need of feeding. If the main Six's arrival in the Crystal Empire episodes is any indication, the area is completely covered in an intense blizzard. Visibility is almost zero, and movement is very difficult. Moving the small distance to the Empire's gates was difficult enough, but moving an entire army across the mountain range, and then through a never-ending magical blizzard, would be nigh impossible. That isn't to say that it couldn't be done, however. It's entirely possible that the blizzard only extends so far around the Empire's borders, and there's a safe zone on the edge of it. Who knows, it's magic. Of course, again, this is all conjecture and extrapolation from what we've seen so far. The true story may be much simpler, and we may never see the Changelings again, which kind of makes me incredibly sad. They just ooze style and developmental potential, and I really liked A Canterlot Wedding, so seeing Chrysalis expanded and explored would be amazing. What do you think? Where do you think the Changelings hail from? What of their origins? Did I overlook something? Let me know down below, and if there are any other creatures you'd like to hear me theorize about. Again, I am Nozovix, and we've been staring at the Changelings in Equestria. This is the third and final video in this series, unless I can think of another species that has had enough exposure for me to actually draw a conclusion from. But if there is one, let me know, I'll take a look at it. And if you have any other ideas about dragons, griffins, or changelings, make your own video and send it to me, because I want to see this thing. So yeah, like, comment, favorite, subscribe, and I will see you next time.